So hey guys, it's Friday the 25th. Father Taylor here, and I really have to go fast because I got to be someplace. Meanwhile, Carol's like saying, "Hey, where's that video?" So anyway, here's a quick video. First of all, tremendous thanks. We should be giving tremendous thanks right now for God blessing us to be a blessing to our neighbors. The drive we had last week, the food drive, uh, we received enough food to fill 72 boxes. I mean, regular sized packing boxes, 72 boxes, maybe a little more has come in too. And over $1,100, maybe $1,500 at this point in donations that we're going directly to the Simsbury Food Pantry. Time of COVID, very little notice, not people gathering and talking about it at church. So great job, and thanks be to God that we're able to help in this kind of way. So great generosity. I mean, it's just really amazing stuff, right? Two, we're looking at services and how we're going to do things when weather gets cold. We have a variety of options. This past week, Amanda got on the phone. She got the epidemiologist from the Farmington Valley Health Department to give more advice as we're talking about things like aerosols and cubic feet and how do you keep things clean. We made a contract this week with a supplier whose cleaning supplies are not just there's disinfecting and sanitizing. Who knew that those were different, but there's two different things. But we are going to be using a product which has been tested for a variety of bacteria. So not just in general, like Lysol, but very specific. So Lysol kills, it says 99.9%. So it kills most things on contact or after exposure. This thing kills even more, and the spectrum of medications, of chemicals it's used, gets very specific for certain kinds of things, including all the bacteria that are closest to COVID-19. So that means that if we do things inside, and when we do, our cleaning supplies and the way we clean, Kevin, our sexton, has already been trained. This is what they use at the schools in Connecticut. It's already been trained by this group of how to apply and how this is used. So we're going to be shifting over to that to ensure that our surfaces are clean. We've been working on ventilation. How do we keep our areas going? So all of that's into play. I just want to point out that when the state says we're moving to phase 3 and religious establishments can now be 50%, the criteria isn't can you have 100 people, it's still about proximity. And so, if you have a large building that seats 400, I think what numbers really mean is you could have up to 200 given issues of proximity and ventilation. So we are still working at that, but we are looking at being able to have a service in the hall that would be earlier, and then a service that is at the same time, like people could come into the service for Zoom following our criteria. Right now, there's only about 35 to 40 people who seem to be really interested in showing up in person. So we're looking into how could we work this best. So we're working on that. We really are working on that. The number one thing we think about is not how many people can we get to worship as much as it is can we protect everybody in worship. This week's sermon actually is maybe Paul's approach to that, but you have to show up Sunday at some place to hear what I meant by that. So we'll come back to that. Here's another quick one. 3 or 4 people asked this question. Hey, we're helping out the Simsbury Food Pantry, but I don't live in Simsbury. How about, my town? So let me just tell you why we do the Simsbury Food Pantry. So first of all, I call it's the door that the Holy Spirit opened. When I was in Southwick, we worked very closely and helped to redevelop and support during its leaner years, the food pantry in Southwick. And that eventually grew and became a really well-run organization. We didn't have to have as much people power, people on the board and donations, But we still had a big outreach on Thanksgiving. That was our big outreach with them. Westfield Food Pantry, same thing. A door opened because I knew the person who ran the Westfield Food Pantry. So we had a lot of communications. What kind of needs could you make? So our ministries came by, over time, doors opened. So here, I've been talking to folks at Food Share and making inquiries both in Granby and Simsbury, because that's our location. The doors opened this past spring with Simsbury Food Pantry. So that's one thing. When you make a bunch of inquiries, who needs help, who wants to work with you, that's a door opening. Paul, when he was trying to get into Macedonia in the book of Acts, made several attempts to get in, and it would say the door wasn't opened, or that the Holy Spirit prevented them until a door opened when he said, I had a dream where I saw a man from Macedonia saying, come over. So we're simply following the Spirit too. Our church is physically located in Simsbury. And so our first responsibility is to our neighbors. We think Terriffill and Simsbury, because why not branch out? Well, in addition to doors being opened by the Lord, the fact of it is that churches, other churches and organizations are at work in different towns. So if you went to Granby and you talk to folks at Valley Brook or the Congregational Church or some other churches are doing the same thing we're doing. And so it isn't like we're the only church in the world that's reaching out to food pantries. Other churches do, and other nonprofits do. And so here it was simply, one, it's our location. So we have a responsibility to where our church's location is. And two, it's the door that the Lord opened. And if you said, well, could we do 4 food pantries? I'd say, as currently configured, we couldn't do it well. And so we're seeing how the Lord opens the door here. We have some plans for Christmas, and we're always listening to that. If you live in a different town, let's say you live in Bloomfield or East Granby or Windsor, and you're saying, well, what's going on? And I'd love to help people in my town. Call your food pantry. Go down there and say, what kind of help would you need? Could you use donations? Could you use financial donations? You live in that town, you could be a part of that as well. But as a church community, as members of a church, one body together, our physical location is here. And so that's our first priority. Will the Lord open a door here? And the Lord did. And so, we're trying to do our best. And just to say, it isn't, other churches work with the food pantry in Simsbury. That's true. But they really needed help last spring. And then they asked for it after we helped. They asked for it for this fall. So that's the reason. 2, thank you so much for what you did for the school. Manda, she's very busy all the time. Manda took all those food bags. The first day on Saturday, the very first day, we covered all that we needed for 50 bags, those blessing bags for the school teachers. So she took them over. The secretary didn't know what was coming, and suddenly say, hey, we have 50 bags here for every teacher and staff, and then a few extra for you guys. And they're just from the church. We at the church went to do this too. Bless you guys. So, well, great job. So great job on that. All right. The weather's good. This Sunday is supposed to be warm. We realized that last week for our 7:45 service, even if you don't get up, it's a pretty funny story. We originally set up the 7:45 service down at one edge of the parking lot simply because it was shady, because we didn't want people to get heat stroke when the sun came up, because when we first started, it was like 90 degrees at noon. So we were down in the shade. So last week, even though it was freezing, and even though the sun has shifted, we were still down in the shade. And so there were people over there, saying even through their masks, saying the prayers. You could see the steam come out. So we thought, why don't we move this? So we moved it up north. We had a bunch more families come last week to our family services, not just for little kids, but we do have a family service that's at 8:45. If you come to the services, please be aware of the traffic patterns, because we don't want people trying to leave and people trying to come in smashing each other. So the operative word when you come, you get close to the parking lot, picture in your mind, it's the week before Christmas. and you just came to Walmart. Use that kind of caution. Okay, I am now starting to put some of the videos we're making for the Psalms class. That's going to be on our website, so you can take a look at that. So if you're not in a class or you miss a class, hopefully we can get up to speed and you can have all the sessions, either the teacher version, which is longer, or a student version, which is a little shorter there. So you can maybe do some of that work on your own in your own time. All right, I got to fly. Hopefully I didn't miss too much, but God bless you. We're looking forward to seeing you this weekend. Okay, so bye for now, and God bless you.